Hey guys, this is Eric Tarr for the ProAudiofiles.com. In this video, I'm going to show you how you can create your own vocal exciter audio effect. The idea here is based off a company called Aphex. They have a special product called the Aural Exciter, and it's been around for a long time. In fact, there are old vintage hardware units that are sought after by a lot of audio engineers. There are also more modern versions in hardware and software form that are great too. Now, in some ways, this effect has been described as kind of doing this mysterious, magical thing when you put a signal through it. In reality, though, the concept behind it is nothing more than a parallel distortion where you use some spectral processing to filter off some of the lows and also shape some of the highs. What I'm going to do then is recreate this kind of effect by using stock plugins inside of Pro Tools. Now you can recreate exactly the kind of processing chain that I'm using by using whatever stock plugins come with your digital audio workstation if you're working in another one. So let's get to it. I'm going to be focusing here on the lead vocal, but I'll play you the whole song so you can hear that vocal in context to begin with.
And when you see what is wrong and you know what is right, then you'll be by my side, I'm by your side. And when you see what is wrong and you know what is right.
Now for the vocal, what I'm hearing is that it has just the right amount of volume. However, it doesn't really cut through the mix in the way that I would like. So I could just try and reach for an equalizer or different kind of effect, a compressor. However, in some ways, just those simple effects by themselves won't be able to accomplish exactly what I'm missing. So in this case, what I'm going to try and do is recreate this kind of exciter effect to help it cut through a little bit more. So what I'm going to do in this case is add parallel distortion. I'm going to do this here by using an auxiliary track, but you can do it in lots of different ways. So I'm going to create a second track right next to my lead vocal. This is an auxiliary track I'll call Exciter. Now if you want to duplicate the audio track, all that kind of stuff is fair game too. What I'm going to do is bus the signal over from my lead vocal. This one's empty, bus 5. Let's turn this up and make the input of this track also bus 5. Initially here, what I'm going to do is actually make my auxiliary send pre. This way, if I start to solo these things, what I'm going to be able to do here is focus just on my parallel path by making this pre-fader, so I can mute this channel of my vocal track. I'm going to send the signal over here and just process it here by adding some distortion and that kind of stuff. I also need to make sure my vocals are going over here into this vocal bus, so I need to send it over there too. All right, so let's just focus on the vocal as it's going through this exciter track.
And when you see what is wrong and you know what is right.
All right, so in this case, what I want to do, even though it sounds weird at first, is I want to roll off the lows. So I'm going to use just a one-band equalizer here. This is the stock equalizer in Pro Tools. I'm going to select the high-pass filter. Let's find a cutoff maybe somewhere around between 500 and 1,000 hertz.
And when you see what is wrong and you know what is right, then you'll be by my side, I'm by your side.
Now, one of the nice things about creating your own custom effect is you have all these different parameters in the filtering and the distortion that you can adjust. So I'm going to start out from here and then add the other effects and see if I need to tweak this anymore. So next up, use the stock distortion effect here under harmonic air distortion. All right. In this case, I have several different kinds of distortion modes that I'm gonna start out with soft, but I can certainly adjust all these parameters and in fact dial it in to be extreme to begin with and then blend it in more later. So I'm going to bring in these plugins to help me shape the sound. I'm also going to duplicate this EQ3 up here and drag it down. I've got a second or a version of it here. I'm going to switch this one to a low pass filter. So you can see my signal chain is going to go in this order. First up is the high pass filter. It's going to be somewhere between 500 and 1,000 hertz. Then I've got distortion, and then I've got the low pass filter. So I need to bring this one up here. Probably going to be 2K to 5K is when I want to start rolling things off. But I can use the slope here to really dial in the kind of sound that I want.
And when you see what is wrong and you know what is right, then you'll be by my side. I'm by your side. And when you see what is wrong and you know what is right, then you'll be...
One thing you have to watch out for is if you let all the high frequencies pass through, it's going to sound very sharp and harsh. So that's the reason why using a low pass filter is great.
And when you see what is wrong and you know what is right, then you'll be by my side. I'm by your side. And when you see what is wrong and you know what is right, then you'll be by my side. I'm by your side. And when you see what is wrong and you know what is right, then you'll be by my side. I'm by your side.
All right, so even if that sounds very distorted to begin with, remember this is just going to be blended in parallel. So I've rolled off the lows, and you can hear if I keep the lows in there, it sounds way too boomy.
And when you see what is wrong and you know what is right, then you'll be by my side. I'm by your side. And when you see what is wrong and you...
All right, so now I've got the sound close to what I want. It sounds very harsh, but I know that's going to be blended in context. So let me turn these off for now. You can always come back and tweak it later on. So instead of having this be pre, I'm going to make this post now. This way, any adjustments I make on this track are also going to affect on this track. So I'll start out actually turning it off.
And when you see
Blend it in.
what is wrong and you know what is right, then you'll be by my side. I'm by your side. And when you see what is wrong and you know what is right, then you'll be by my side. I'm by your side.
You can hear then when it's in context, I have a lot of control over how much excitement that I want to add in. And it doesn't even sound like a very dramatic or harsh effect until I start to take it away. So here it is, about the level that I think will work.
And when you see what is wrong and you know what is right, then you'll be by my side. I'm by your side.
All of a sudden it really starts to sharpen
And
up.
when you see...
Now let's do it in context of the full mix.
And when you see what is wrong and you know what is right, then you'll be by my side. I'm by your side. And when you see what is wrong and you know what is right, then you'll be by my side. I'm by your side.
So that's a great way to add a little bit of extra clarity that you can't just get by equalizing the top end. So that's all I wanted to show you in this video. Keep in mind though, this is a great effect for vocals, but it has all sorts of other applications. It's great on acoustic guitar, it's great on a drum bus, lots of different things. So until next time, take care guys.